So what is the crack, everyone, and welcome to a brand new era of the channel. We've been very quiet over the last few months. We've been planning and putting some recipes in place. So today is the first recipe we're going to do. It is a beautiful lasagna. It's going to be a beef bolognese, a homemade bechamel, and we're going to pop it in the oven and cook it. So it's a really simple recipe, and the content of this channel will be that kind of style recipe. It's easy ones to do at home. It's ingredients we have at home. So please do stick around, subscribe if you are new here, give the video a like, and enjoy the recipe. Lasagna is made up of 3 components basically. It's a bechamel sauce or a white sauce, it's a bolognese or a ragu sauce, and then our pasta lasagna sheets, and then plenty of cheese on top. So I'm going to make one each from scratch. Again, they're not overly complicated. You can complicate them more and pimp them to your style or your preference, but a bechamel sauce is pretty much a roux, which is butter and flour mixed with some milk. So we're going to get that going at the moment. I have a pan here on a nice medium heat. We're going to add our butter into the pan like so, and we're going to start to let that melt very, very slowly. So it's a little bit hot here. I'm going to turn it down, and into this we want to add an equal part of flour. So if I have 2 tablespoons of butter, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. Just knock that into our pan, 2 and a bit, and we're going to get a whisk and start to bring this together. So again, what you're looking for, you're going to get like a pastry kind of style roux here. So the frying will stop, you're going to keep it stirring, and there's a little bit of work involved here, so it's a little bit of a workout as well. So just keep it stirred, keep it mixing, and you'll see you're going to start to get a paste consistency. So the butter and the flour will fuse. It's like a small little bit of a batter. And when that starts to come together, what we're going to do is very, very, very slowly start to add in some warm milk. So this is just some normal milk. I've just popped in the microwave for a couple of minutes, and we're going to add this bit by bit to our roux and make our white sauce. So I have a small bit of my milk in. I'm just going to keep stirring it, so you have to keep movement in this. If you don't, it'll stick and start to burn, and you won't get a nice consistency in your sauce. So keep stirring, keep adding it bit by bit. Don't worry if there's a little bit of splash here or there. Cooking isn't perfect. And keep that moving. So we have our last little bit of milk here. I've constantly stirred it. That goes in. And then we're just going to cook this for another 2 or 3 minutes. Again, keep it stirred, and you should get a nice kind of thick sauce consistency at the end. We're going to add a little bit of seasoning of salt and pepper on this. We have our salt here. So not too much. We're going to taste it again in a second. And also it's going to be going into the dish, which is going to be seasoned too. So we don't want to overly season it now. We'll come back to it later when it's all being put together, and we'll season accordingly. So again, keep it stirred. You see if there's any lumps or bits of flour in it, they will come out. Just keep them stirred on. That flour will cook out. I have a little bit of grated cheese here. So this is just a white cheddar. I'm going to be using Parmesan in the lasagna itself as well. So I'm just trying to mixing it up, but any cheese will work. I'm just going to add a small bit into it. Give that a stir around. And that again is going to give us like a nice cheesy consistency. Give us a bit more thickness to our sauce. And our bechamel sauce is pretty much complete from here. The bechamel is made, is put to the side. Next is the ragu sauce. So our base is a muir pot. It's onion, carrot, and celery. So again, we're just going to top and tail these onions. Just take the skin off. And this is a muir pot. So this is the base of a lot of ragus or a lot of bolognese. And that's essentially what this is going to be. It's going to be a bolognese sauce just put over the lasagna. So again, anyway, chopping, we always put it on a flat surface so it doesn't roll. So it's a lot safer. And we're going to try and dice these up as finely as I can. So I'm going to chop my onion, but I'm going to grate everything else. So it's a nice small texture in the pan. So it's going to cook off, and we're not going to have big, large chunks of vegetables throughout our dish. For the garlic, we're going to de-skin it, get the flat of our knife, put it on top of the garlic, use your weight, crush it down, and then just finally dice that up. For the carrots and celery, again, you can dice these if you like, but it's much easier to get a grater and just get nice small pieces that'll cook down and pretty much disintegrate in our bolognese. Right, so the muir pot is made. You can see the really nice colors of the carrot, the celery, the onion. We have a high-sided pot. We're going to add in about 2 tablespoons of oil into this, and we're going to just fry off these 4 ingredients. The garlic is in there as well. Just fry them off very, very quickly in the oil, and we'll add in our mince then after that. So keep this moving in the pan. We're not going to cook this down too much. We just want to start to sweat the onions. You'll see they start to go translucent. You should get the smell of the garlic in the onion. A small bit of salt helps here. It'll help break down the skin of the onion. So just give it a stir around. As soon as it's starting to break down, we're going to go in with our mince. So again, we have a really nice Irish beef mince here. We're going to knock this into the pan. Get that moving round, and all we're looking to do now is just brown off the mince. Once the mince is browned, you'll see it's all starting to mix together. We're gonna start to make our sauce. So, the first component is tomato puree. Tomato puree is like a cheat code in the kitchen. It gives you an extra kind of concentrated punch of tomatoes, so as opposed to adding in our tomatoes and leaving it cook for 30-40 minutes, this is like a fast way of doing it. So we'll do a good tablespoon and a half, if not 2 tablespoons. We have a lot. This is going to serve 4 or 5 people. Stir that through, and we're going to get a nice kind of dark red brown color on our mince. In on top of that, we're going to season it with our mixed herbs. So this is just normal Italian mixed herbs. You can do some fresh herbs too. I actually have some behind me here. So we have some fresh basil. I'm gonna pop that in as well. Just tear it up, pop it in, mix it through. I'm gonna taste the sauce later on for salt and pepper. I'm not gonna add it now. There's a bit of salt in there to start anyway, regardless. And finally is our tin of chopped tomatoes. So there's about 2 tins here. We're gonna pop that in. Give it a stir around. And then to loosen it up a little bit, we have some just chicken stock. So you can do chicken stock, you can do vegetable stock, any stock will work. So add a small bit in, just to add some liquid to it. And we can keep adding that in as we cook it. If it's getting too thick too soon, add some more stock in. One last secret ingredient I always use this is a small bit of Worcester sauce. Adds a really nice kind of subtle punch to the dish. It kind of tweaks the color as well. So just about a tablespoon, we don't need a whole pile. Knock that in, give that a stir around, and your Ragu sauce has started. So we're gonna cook this down for about 20 minutes. Leave it on a low heat, leave it simmer, and those tomatoes will pull out sweetness, and you get a really beautiful sauce that's gonna go into our lasagna, which will be baked in the oven. Right, so it's been about 30 minutes, the bolognese is starting to thicken up. I'm gonna give it a quick taste and see what we're like for salt and pepper. Needs a small bit of salt, I think anyway. Usually, as a rule of preference, if you can't really taste salt, you should add some more. If it's too salty, you can add a little bit more water. Just be conscious of the stock as well. So we're ready to layer up our lasagna. I have a nice Pyrex dish here that can go into the oven. On the bottom, we'll do a small bit of our bolognese. Not too much, so again, don't be too greedy with this. We want to add a few layers in at a time. So we'll just get the bottom in. We have our beautiful carrot and celery strands there as well. Our bechamel sauce has had some time to relax, and you see a really nice thick consistency in that as well. Again, not too much, just a few spoonfuls around the base. Give it a mix around. Again, we want to keep some for later on. And then we have our lasagna sheets, so just dried pasta. I'm going to actually break these up a little bit. You can leave them down if you want, but I like to kind of break them up and make it like a jigsaw, or like you're paving the back patio. So we just mix it around, fix it up. It's about 2.5 sheets per bottom. Fill the whole base. What I will do on each layer is I'll do a small bit of cheese. So I have some cheese here. I'll do a mix of my cheddar and grated Parmesan, and then we literally just repeat that up and up and up until we get to the very, very top. Right, and the last few pasta sheets are on. I have a small bit of my sauce left, so I'll do one last topping of bolognese. Make sure it's spread to the edges. And this is amazing. We've got about 3 layers on here. Again, the size of your dish will depend on how many layers you use. Don't be shy, spread it on. Our last bit of sauce, if we have some, we'll put it on over the top and spread it around. And then the last thing we have to do is just lather this in cheese. Lasagna is ready to go. It's going to go into the oven at 180 degrees for about 30-35 minutes. Keep an eye on it, the cheese will start to melt, the bolognese will bubble around the sides, and I cannot wait to see this when it comes out of the oven. And that is the finished product. So it's been about 30 minutes in the oven. You can see you get a really nice bubbly cheese on the top, the crisp on the outside, and you get like that nice rustic feel to the dish as well. It bubbles over the edge, which is fine. So you take the square out, you can see those beautiful layers of pasta, bolognese, and the bechamel sauce kind of brings it all together. You have a nice creamy consistency, the richness from the bolognese, and then the cheesy topping. So there's one thing left to do. We have to taste it. I'm going to try and do this as neatly as possible. And you can see when I cut down, I'm getting all 3 of the layers. Oh my God. It's so good. There's such There's a lot of cheese in that, so it's a really nice hit of cheese. The bolognese has a really nice richness because we gave it the time to cook down. That is a 10 out of 10 lasagna. Oh my god, so good. Last touching, if you want, you can put some rocket over the top for some greenery, and that is the dish done. So again, it's a really simple one. It feeds 4 or 5 people. It's a classic homemade dish. It's like for a winter's day, for a cold day, you can't beat a good lasagna. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you took something away from the recipe. We have a ton of content and planned for this channel, so please do stick around, subscribe, and comment below what recipes you want to see. We have a lot of plans made, but we want to be as helpful to you as possible, so let us know what you want to see. If you are going to try it at home, make sure you tag me on social media at Eoin Sheehan. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Keep on cooking.